Okay team, it's the final few weeks of our yearly drawing challenge and I actually cannot believe that I've been doing videos for 50 weeks. 50 weeks, this is the 50th week. So in this session, we are going to do our own self-portrait. Remember, we started the year with a self-portrait just to see where it was, and then we followed the videos to see if each week we could improve your drawing skills just by drawing and by looking at loads of different techniques. So in this one, I want you to have a picture of yourself printed. It's way easier to draw printed because then you get to measure it and get really involved. And for this session, we're only going to measure where the features are because it deserves time, even though it's the most boring part, but it deserves time and we need to do it. So choose a picture that you like. It could be a good one, it could be a bad one. Smile, don't smile. Teeth are very hard, but I've chosen a picture that was taken by the lovely Nyla and she made me look great. So I'm going to use that one, but it does have teeth. So grab your pencils and let's get started. So the first thing we need to do, obviously, is figure out our orientation. So this is my portrait and I am tilting my head over to the right hand side. So my chin is pointing left and my head is pointing right. So I need to get that angle and I can literally transfer it if I want, or I can say to myself, if I had a clock going around here at the bottom, what would the time be? And if that's 12 o'clock and that's 3 o'clock, we're probably looking at 1:45. Any of you who are architects, you might be thinking, well, what is the angle of this? Oh, I honestly don't know. So I am going to try and just transfer it over. Now, obviously, you might move it in the transfer so I can just check. And remember, I'm going from the middle of the eyebrows to the middle of the chin. So if I put that there, and then try and keep that fairly still. There we go. That angle is pretty much bang on. So I'm just going to overextend this line because it's better to have it too long than too short. Now, with the rule of thirds, remember we go from the top of the hairline to the eyebrows, eyebrows to the nose, and the nose to the chin. It is tilted, so we have to be perpendicular to this orientation line. So if I take the easiest angle, it's going to be between the eyebrows and transfer that across. We should be able to see if this is perpendicular or not. You'll see very easily if that line was straight. We have a big wide angle here and a smaller angle there. So we need to make sure it's perpendicular to here. So what I'm going to do now is just measure my thirds. And I always like to start at the chin. So I get my thumb to go right there under that. And then I use this part of the pencil, not the arch, because that's less accurate. I go for where the arch touches the side of the wood. And then I say, okay, this is my chin. So I go over here and I make this mark. So make sure I'm happy with the distance between the chin and the bottom of the paper. And obviously, because the face is twisted a little bit, we have a bigger side here and a smaller side there. So I'm making sure that I'm putting this in a good place too. The next thing I want to do is get the chin. So I put my nail here where it's at the bottom of the nose, and I put this roughly in the middle of the eyebrow. And then I want to take that across, do that little line. And then finally, I want to go from the middle of the eyebrow roughly to the hairline. So if this was going round, we would be about here. So let me transfer that. Okay, and then what I want to do is get these lines, overextend them. And it might feel weird because we're like, oh, we usually see people face on, which is true. I'm seeing this face on, but I've turned my head, so that means these lines are perpendicular. So let me just get the rough angle and then transfer it across and see if that is the same angle. Okay, good. So I can just tidy that up. Okay, fab. So this is the proportions of my face so far. So the final thing I'm going to do is figure out the width of the face, and I will do that by taking the bottom of the chin measurement. This one is the most accurate because there's an obvious line where the chin ends and an obvious line where the nose starts. Once I've figured out the middle, well, once I've figured out the height, sorry, I'm going to rotate from the nose, actually, from the tip of the nose, and see where that is on this pencil. So that is here. So if I take that across, actually I'll put that there, but I can also double check that my measurements are right. So if I get this measurement down there, rotate that, actually it's probably just there. So for those of you who have done the previous drawing, you'll know that a small change in measurement can actually be quite catastrophic for your drawing. So it's good to always double, triple check. Okay, I'm going to go for the left side, so I'll take this measurement and then I'll turn that around. And again, I'm going for the middle of the tip there. And then we have 1. And then we have 1 1/5 probably. So it's roughly there. So I'll go back and take this measurement. And then we go 1. So place my pencil there as a holder. 1 1/5. So this should dictate where my cheek is there on the horizontal line. So I'm just going to make a very rough sketch of my chin, just to give it a little bit of something to sit on. Okay, there we go. And then let's go from the eyebrows to the edge here. So we want to figure out what that is horizontally as well. So again, always go back to my anchor and then find roughly the middle of the eyebrows. And we are around about there. So what would that be? Just under a quarter there. So get this measurement. And so no, this is the eyebrows. So that goes there. And then that goes out a tiny bit, down a tiny bit. Ooh, back to the chin. That's way too dramatized. They're only subtle curves. So just, there we go. Fab. And then I can see the next bit just by eye, because the hair obviously is going around here. And then I can actually just figure out where the hair is. So that is here. Everything's roughly in here that I've measured so far. So take that measurement. Make sure it doesn't change in transit. And then it's roughly there. So my hair's going to be there. And then where does it end? Kind of there. And then let's go for the left side. Okay. Sorry, what am I doing? I'm going for the middle here. So there's 1 1/6 maybe. Okay, so then we go 1 1/6. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to attach that. And then I'm just going to round this off because it's just it's rough shading at the minute. Always looks so weird at this stage. And that's what you want. We want it to not even really look like a face, but it is accurately measured. So let's now try and find the eyes and the mouth, and maybe we'll get a little glimpse of it looking like a face. Okay, so the next thing I want to do at this stage is just figure out where my irises are, and then the mouth. Why did I choose a picture where I'm smiling and I have teeth? It's fine. It's fine. It's going to be good practice. You don't have to choose a picture with teeth. Okay, so I'm getting this measurement, and then I'm popping it in there, and then I'm just saying, okay, how far down is the iris to iris? So it's roughly there. And then let me just check that, and I've got the mark. Ooh, put that in the top. Okay, it's roughly there. Cool. And then, you know what, for the mouth, I'm actually going to get the top that's really small. And then I'm going to go for the bottom, finally in that white bit. So the mouth is huge. Should all be in there. So I'm just going to, by eye, say I've got the top lip, bottom lip should be a bit bigger, and then we have the teeth. So let's just extend that just to make sure when we're drawing it, it's not going to be too flat. And then there we have it. There we have the measurements of the portrait. If you want to see how this is done in full and support a small business like myself, please head on over to Patreon for just £3 a month. You'll be doing such a justice to small artists, and I'll be eternally grateful. For now, back to the video. Okay, team, well done. Not the most interesting part of a portrait, and also not the only method that we can do. But I want us to apply this method because that's what we practiced last month, and it's something we're a bit more familiar with. It's also a bit more accurate in how we can draw a portrait. So well done on persevering this week. Next time we are gonna apply all the shapes, and then we're gonna start our base layer of shading. So really excited to start that because then we finally have something that looks like a face. So well done, and I'll see you next week for our penultimate session.